stars blazing so bright, calling the fight from vigilance. We stand from dawn to twilight, the empires rise and conquer. In the wild face of danger, carry on to the victory. You better take a deep breath, each stone it brings a bitter fight. Another chill may run down your spine, fear looks beyond the other side. Carry on to the glory, to the great victory. Never give up till you die, never give up in this life. For every war that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind, hold your weapons, try to fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary. Chaos, sharpen your knife, make way to find your destiny. Worship a man or a shrine, can both recall us scattered. In the wild town of wardrobes, tearing down all the enemies. You better capture the arcs, the carriers may bog you down. You set up for the swiftest ride, sneaky Texas work as a best alive. Carry on to the glory, to the great victory. Never give up till you die, never give up in this life. For every war that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind, hold your weapons, try to fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary. Across the ocean lands, stories will be told. How you struggle, how you try to define the world. With a sacred name, you are the one chosen to start up the storm. Never give up till you die, never give up in this life. For every war that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind, hold your weapons, try to fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary.
Hello, governors. Welcome to the 2024 Grand Prix Upper Bracket Round 3. I'm your host, Plato Gaming Caster and content creator for Rise of Kingdoms. And today we are joined alongside our fellow caster, Brian Koo. Glad to be here with you, man.
Plato, good to be here. I do have a quick prediction for this match. I think a Chinese team is going to win it.
A Chinese team is going to be winning it indeed. And for those that do not know, the Grand Prix is the pinnacle of competitive Osiris League, where the best of the best teams from both the international server and the Chinese server get to compete to prove themselves as the best Osiris League teams in the world. Today, we are casting the upper bracket, meaning that these teams are one win away from making it to the semifinals. And the match that we are casting today is 732A versus 466S, both from the Chinese server. 732A have made it into the Grand Prix through the Chinese server qualifier stage, as they were the top 4 team in the realm of Sobek, but have been dominant through their Grand Prix run so far, defeating international teams such as 60GT and 27WP. 466S have also run through the international server favorites such as HJK from 1188 and 93T up to this point, proving that their title as one of the favorites to win their tournament is legit. Both teams have been dominating the international server, but which team can make it to the semifinals? Brian, what are your thoughts of this particular matchup?
Yeah, Plato, I think we have a pretty good idea of what to expect here, and the only question is whether the underdog here, 732A, can mix things up a little bit and turn this result around. 466S is a very solid team. I think that's what we saw against 93T last week, is that they really avoid making mistakes. Their reputation is that they are the team on the Chinese server that practices the most. They also have another alliance from their kingdom who is still alive in this Osiris League. We saw them win yesterday. So they have a ready-made alliance in their own kingdom to practice with. They do get a lot of reps in. And from what we've seen so far, that gives 466S a lot of confidence. They play with a lot of confidence. They absorbed everything 93T threw at them last week and just made very good decisions, unexploitable decisions on their end. And, you know, for those who just are watching the other Chinese match right now between two top teams, neither of those teams adjusted their strategy against each other that much. I think that was the question coming into today. Are these game theory optimal Chinese teams going to adjust when they do play each other? We've not seen that so far, but we may see it from the Sobek team, 732A here, which I haven't watched them play yet. You have watched them play, Plato. Do you think they're capable of mixing it up?
I mean, they beat 60GT, they beat 27WP, both those teams. I mean, 27WP beat 489, which are the Grand Prix reigning champions of last season. 27WP, they did end up losing to 489 yesterday, but you know, the competition that 732A for a team that going into it, from what I understand, was not seen as one of the favorites in the Chinese server. 466S, GY16 kind of took that mantle as the two top teams, but 732A have been pretty dominant against these international server teams, and I'd be really, really optimistic about them being able to transfer that against 466S. But as you said, it'll be super interesting to see how these two Chinese powerhouses, as they've only versed international teams, how they interact with each other. As you said, the Chinese server, I feel like they're so creative with their responses. There isn't really there is a set game plan, but there's also so many responses to their opponent's game plan, kind of denying your opponent's route to victory while also securing your own. I'd be curious to see how 732A decides to do that against 466S, as 466S is seen as the favorites in this matchup.
Yeah, and one thing that's worth noting is that what 732A has done well so far in this Grand Prix is they have had a very, very strong occupation game. They have won their occupation game by 9,000 points against GT, and then they won by 6,000 points against 27WP. And the reason that I'm a little bit skeptical that they can change it up is that 466S saw a strong occupation game last week against 93T. And so it's possible that 732A is going to throw essentially the same game plan against 466S here. If they do that, then, you know, the favorites here, 466S, can just run it back, play that same unexploitable game, that same solid game, and probably come out with another victory. But like you said, 732A has been very successful. They have probably reshaped this tournament more than any other team. I mean, to upset 60GT and then upset the hope of Sobek, 27WP, that has really... They've been leading the charge of Chinese dominance here because they just knocked off two top teams. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they come up with here against one of the teams from their own Chinese server.
And it'll be interesting to see, and we do not have to wait as we get into the game here. So we have 732A in this top side of the map, starting to teleport in. In the meanwhile, we have 466S in the bottom right side of the map. Brian, do you expect to see anything with these openings? I've been talking to Dirty Dan about it. The Chinese servers love to use this opening sentry in the front of the starting zones of their opponents. I'm going to be curious if both these teams decide to do that as well.
I think we're going to see that sentry from both teams for sure. And although that sentry is unique to our international audience, it reveals actually a very conservative style, right? Because essentially that sentry, all that really does is tell you which direction the enemy is going and in how many numbers. It sort of lets you know, are they doing anything unorthodox? It doesn't really set you up to do anything unorthodox. It just sort of protects you against what the opponent is doing. So, yeah, I mean, I think we've either seen super high risk plays off the bat from these Chinese teams, or we've seen like very, very standard play. I think we're going to see some sort of fight at one of the buildings where one team senses an advantage and then tries to find a small edge with either a first capture bonus or just delaying the first capture of their opponents.
Yeah, I mean, the match that I watched yesterday with 489 and 27 WP, the Desert Ulcer was not first capped until halfway through the match. So we might see some shenanigans like this today, as the gates has finally dropped. The overlay is on for me, and you could start to see these T1CCs sprinting to their objectives, to these outposts. It is mirrored on the other side here, and let's start to see some of these hidden sentries that they start placing. And indeed, it is the classic Chinese server hidden sentry placement. Just seeing if there's any shenanigans going on, any super fast T1 rushes going towards their obelisks. Looks like it will be standard play for now between these two teams.
Yeah, and one thing I have been noticing in this Grand Prix is that teams don't drop all their sentries as soon as the game starts. It weirded me out a little bit at the beginning, but as I was thinking about planning my own arc this morning, I think maybe they do that because if you place the sentries very quickly, but the enemy gets to that sentry faster, then it was just kind of worthless. I almost think teams bring their marches out and get them into a position to where they are able to guarantee that they protect that sentry ward. The other option is they're waiting to see a bit of the enemy movements, and then they can make more intelligently place their first sentries. But for everybody out there who is a skill caster on their arc teams, I think it's worth noting that these top teams do wait quite a while to place all three of their sentries.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, Brian, that this topside obelisk cap is very late. Just got captured. It is 30 seconds later than its counterpart in the mirror. So I'm not too sure. Usually we don't talk about obelisk captures because it's usually very standard. But the topside obelisk being 30 seconds late, I'm going to be curious if there will be some consequences due to the late capture of that obelisk. We could start to see that they have all 4 rallies going out for all of the obelisks, so 8 rallies altogether. Looks like offensive rallies coming in as well, and I'm curious because this topside obelisk could potentially be offensively rallied. There is going to be a defensive rally coming in shortly though, but we'll have to see. 30 seconds late on teleports. I will say that 732A, their match against 60GT really opened my eyes because they went all in to the death on that first arc. 60GT did not respond with to the death. They were able to get the first arc, hold it, and as soon as they got that first arc, I feel like they sent out 15 provisioners for the rest of the game. That was like their game plan. They sent out 15 provisioners. They held their own structures and just won off first arc difference and provisions.
Yeah, that is interesting. In the match that just took place, we saw the other upper bracket match between GY16 and 21YL just a few moments ago. In that match, it was kind of the opposite, actually. 21YL used to the death on the first arc. They lost the first arc, and then they were in a really bad position for the second arc because they didn't have enough skills to take advantage of their stocking up, because the other team just held long enough to get their full skill bar back. So there's always a counter to everything that can happen. But action kicking off here at the Desert Altar.
The Desert Altar action starting to take place here. We have a minute 15 left until the Desert Altar opens up, but we can see that the Murder Ball is starting to engage here, and I actually think there are more 732A marches initially in this Murder Ball. We'll have to see what the outcome will be. But pretty interesting positioning. I actually think that 732A is in a pretty advantageous spot in terms of positioning. It's just because they're right next to the Desert Altar, so it gives them that 50-50 flip potential with 466S. You could see that the Heraclea is just skirting outside of the murder ball here, just trying to be unseen from 466S as it patiently waits for 30 seconds and for this murder ball fight to conclude. But in all honesty, Brian, this is a pretty close fight. If we go out into dot mode, actually, it is still looking rather close, but I feel like there are more blue dots than red dots, meaning that 732A and his inner lane structure rather of the Desert Altar of their opponents looks like they have the advantage thus far.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a Pyrrhic victory. 466S is being very effective on some of the other lanes, and even in that Desert Altar lane, they gummed it up enough to where it's going to be very hard for 732A to get the first capture. And at the same time, in some of these other lanes, the Sky Altar on the bottom side, and especially the Desert Altar on the top side, 466S won those fights very cleanly, and could potentially try to hold one of these buildings for a first capture.
I will say in this top side of the map, it's looking like 732A decided to ditch their Desert Altar for now and put a lot of units around the Sky Altar of 466S, so the outer lane altar in this top side. Do you think that indicates that they're trying to make 466S decide whether to do this mid rotation or to contest the Sky Altar? Because this is a lot of commitment to this initial Sky Altar from 732A.
Yeah, and relevantly, they're staying at that building, right? None of their marches have decided to sad face. There's even a 50k Huo who's just sitting there because obviously they want to defend this thing. I mean, if they didn't want to, that Huo would have sad faced. They have to hold this building for 2 minutes. 466S understands the importance of this. It's going to be a very big fight here. I think it's going to be tough for 732A, but it's certainly doable. I mean, it's doable.
It's looking rather mirrored in the map. You can see that the Desert Altars have been taken from by their opponents. Sky Altars has been taken from their opponents. So a mirrored map state as of now. Although I will say the Desert Altar from 466S looks like it will fall faster than the Desert Altar from 732A. This Desert Altar looks like it's actually going down rather fast as well. So pretty much a mirrored state here. They do have some reinforcements, 466S do. Going into this Desert Altar, just double C sprinting into there, but was not fast enough as the Desert Altar was retaken. And now it'll come down to the Sky Altar captures. We have 50 seconds left on this topside Sky Altar, and we were talking about those units that were just standing there when usually you would see them sad face perhaps for some tempo. But no, they're trying to get that first occupation, trying to get that 750 point bonus away from their opponents. And we'll have to see if they're going to be able to hold this for the next 30 seconds, which in my opinion looks like rather likely, as there are not enough 466S marches to recapture the Sky Altar. The rally will die as well, so that will take another minute for that rally to reset itself, and the Sky Altar will be first captured by 732A. Let's look at the inverse though for 466S with the Sky Altar of 732A's side. It looks like the Sky Altars will be traded as well, so very even game so far, Brian.
Yeah, we saw that these extra marches that people kept at the Sky Altar on defense, they were effective. They just had bigger numbers. Teams are not used to having to bring that many marches back for the initial retake, but in this case, it was absolutely required. Looks like both teams are going to first capture the other team's Sky Altar, and not something we see too often, Plato. We know this outside lane is more vulnerable, but we haven't seen it to this extent. We have not seen the outside lane be exploited this much before this first arc. And I think that sort of sets up both teams for a mirror approach to the mid as well. They both had the same issues. They both still have the same issues to this second of the game. So if they both have the same challenges, they both can probably bring the same number of bodies to this very, very important first mid fight. I wonder if we'll still see them mirror each other and cast the same skills, or if we might see a bit of variation here.
I actually feel like it's inverse, where you could see the commitment to that 466S brought to the Sky Altar. There isn't the same commitment from 732A. Instead, 732A getting first rotate middle indicates to me that either 466S is going to go building game, which you could see a lot of the troops walking over to this desert altar. They're probably going to go building game and then contest with some form of sneaky tactics or something like that, because they have 3 altars. And in all honesty, with 2 minutes 30 seconds left on this arc, 3 altars, if you continue holding those 3 altars for maybe 4, 5, 6 minutes, you could definitely make 732A pay for their early mid rotation.
Yeah, and we do see 732A, they're trying to be sneaky on the bottom side and steal the Shrine of Life from 466S. Looks like they're going to do it. Looks like that Shrine of Life is not well defended. So they're very focused on the first mid. They want to get this troop health and march speed bonus from this Shrine of Life building. So pretty good use of resources all in all by 732S, where they are going heavy mid, but they're also going to at least flip one of their buildings. And they're probably going to hold this desert altar on the top side as well. Like you said, 466S is going to give up this first mid. They want to get a lot from the sides. But as of this moment, 732A has at least countered 2 of those attempts by flipping one of their buildings and also defending one of their own buildings.
As you pointed out, Shrine of Life flipped. Desert altar looks like to be still in their favor here. I think the next step for them is probably to try to take the Sky Altar back. Looks like instead they are going to be attacking the Desert Altar, and sneaky tactics in the middle here as predicted. They will be using sneaky tactics to try to delay this arc. And then in all honesty, 732A had first rotate here, but looks like a lot of their troops decided to peel off to the Desert Altar, Sky Altar, the other Desert Altar. I'm going to be curious if the sneaky tactics marches could actually do some damage against the murder ball of 732A, which, you know, is still more than a 466S, but by the arc is not completely in 732A's by any means, because, you know, there isn't a huge contingent of marches. There's enough, I feel like, to defend this arc, but if 466S decide to bring more people middle, that could start being a problem. We'll have to see how they react to it.
Yeah, showing the value of sneaky tactics here. But Plow, did you ever like attack the back of this ball? Did you ever like attack the back where you have the numbers advantage and sort of like whittle them down or anything like that? I wonder what they want to do with the sneaky tactics here. Do they just want to harass? Looks like they just want to harass the arc carrier once it gets captured.
Perhaps one of the marches are trying to get the first tap, so it denies 10 seconds, but it was a bit too late from that sneaky tactics march. They will get a first tap. 722A will in this top side, and now we'll start to see the sneaky tactics marches come out of fog of war, come out of sneaky tactics rather, come out of the stealth to attack the arc carrier. And just to be, sneaky tactics is really effective in this case, because, you know, Brian, if you saw all of these marches, you could start swarming them down, and then take this arc uncontested, probably start rotating your marches out of middle early. But because there is fog, there is stealth on these marches, 732A have to babysit, have to handhold this arc carrier all the way back until sneaky tactics wears off. And that should allow them to get some more structures.
Look at the break off. Look at the break off that's happening though by 732A. I mean, yeah, you know, they just had to make a estimate of how much threat 466S was going to bring to this arc. They have to estimate the threat of the sneaky tactics marches and also the threat of any flanking marches. And if we just look at this map, 732A has really walked a tightrope here with the size of their escort, but I think they're going to get it done, right? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, the numbers here look a little close, but it seems like 732A should have enough to get this done and recover the sides like pretty quickly here. So
this is actually, I completely agree with you. It's kind of a masterclass of March distribution, and that's what this game comes down to. The Grand Prix, with all the accounts having the same commanders, all the accounts having the same gear, all the accounts having the same armaments, you have to place your marches in the right spots. And you know, they wanted to retake their Sky Altar, they wanted to retake their structures. You could see that the score is now stabilizing. All the structures are now in their home side's hands here. With Arc, and with only about a 600 point differential right now, or 600 point gap, 732A is very comfortable with the spot they're in this game right now.
Oh, they're super comfortable. They're steady chilling right now. And one of the other things we saw in the other China versus China upper bracket match just an hour ago is both teams played very good defense. There were not a lot of building flips in that game. And so this is pretty much 732A's wheelhouse. Like you said, in their match against 60GT, they won the first arc. They sent out 15 gatherers. They held the arc the whole time and won the game that way. So they can repeat that strategy. Not to say it will 100% work, but they can repeat the strategy where they just hold the arc, send out gatherers, play defense. And 466S, a team that has played a very controlled game so far, they have put themselves in this predicament by skipping the first mid fight. And it will be interesting to see what they do in response. Are they just going to go for very crisp side play? I mean, Plato, is there anything else they can do than have good, crisp side play now?
It's definitely rough for 466S, because when you give up middle, you want to get more of advantage in the buildings, right? You want to, you know, if possible, control 4 altars for 4, 5, 6 minutes to make up that 3k point differential that you lost there. But in all honesty, 732A, as you said, walked that tightrope. It's funny because when both teams go middle, it's like an arms race. You're trying to send as many troops as possible middle. Whoever has the most troops wins. When one team goes building, you're actually trying to send as little troops as possible middle if you're the other team, because you want to have as many marches around your buildings to defend as possible. So that's what 732A did. They de-escalated their middle priorities and started rotating to the rest of the map. We saw that little contingent of marches break off from middle, go to the Desert Altar, and that's how this Desert Altar has been captured to begin with. And that's just the game that 732A has been playing. They have been placing their marches, putting priorities exactly where they needed it to be. And whether it's 1 march, whether it's 30 marches, as long as you escort that arc to your side, that is objective done for that first arc.
Yep. One other thing to notice here is that because there was no mid fight, neither team cast many skills mid. But that also reveals more of the skill bars of these teams. 732A actually has hard push, and they cast hard push. Hard push does not help you mid at all. What it does is it makes your rallies faster, and it gives your rallies a 30% damage boost. So that's a skill that only one team has. That team has the lead, and they can control the fact that there's going to be a very long span of time until the next arc. And so they're getting the value from hard push right now for maybe a little bit more time. I think it's about to wear off. And I don't think they can cast hard push again before the next arc, but it's just a nice small edge that 732A has here because of their skills. They're getting a little value on the sides, whereas 466S so far does not get any value from the sides. They might end up casting something like Dust Up just to boost their damage on the sides, because boy, do we really think there's any chance 732A returns this arc before the deadline?
I don't think so, but 466S doing what they need to do. They flipped the Desert Altar. We're talking about this strategy. Yes, you capture the first arc, you could go provisions, but you need to hold your home structures. Flipping the Desert Altar, absolutely huge for 466S. They at least denied 450 points away from 732A. there is another 20 seconds left until this Desert Altar actually starts generating points from 466S. And man, this Desert Altar hold from 466S might actually be a big game changer for them, even though they still will be down in terms of true score, 3k in the bank for 732A, but they might make it a game where 732A can't just freely give away mid fights. They might have to contest a second, a third arc, because their provisions might not be enough to be that difference maker. And I will say 466S, they know about the provision game. They are provisioning themselves as well, which is something we did not see from that 60 GT game. That was back in the beginning of the Grand Prix, back when the international servers were oblivious of how important and how strong provisions are. So I don't think the game plan that 732A has played in the past will work against 466S because of the counter provisions that they're currently doing, as well as them being able to flip 732A structures.
Yeah, let's do a little bit of this math right now just to lay out the situation for everybody. We're seeing somewhere between 6 to 8 gatherers from both sides. We saw the same number of gatherers in the match earlier today. 732A has scored about 500 points more in gathering in their matches so far. So maybe we can give 732A like 500 points from gathering, but not a big deal. Now with the building game, this is what the building game is worth. When you flip the enemy structure, you're getting an extra 150 points per minute because you're denying those points to the enemy team. If you actually flip and hold the enemy structure like 466S is doing right now, they're generating points. So that's 300 points per minute. If they were to do this for 10 minutes, they would completely counter the 3,000 points that 732A has with the arc. So all these little windows where they're holding this building for 2 or 3 minutes, if they can just do that a few times, that will even up the game. So, you know, these are small victories that both teams are trying to score here. 466S has to score small victories on offense, and 732A, like you said, they have to score victories on defense, or else their strategy will be countered by the red team.
And in all honesty, I feel like the strategy has already been countered with the defense of this 466S Desert Altar. My goodness, this Eleanor is holding on for dear life. And it's been holding on for quite some time. In fact, it might hold on longer than the Rally will. The Rally's looking lower than the Desert Altar currently, which is unheard of. This is a huge defense from 466S. And the strategy that we've seen from 732A, win that first arc, get that first arc, and just win off provisions, win off of structures, that is no longer possible. They will have to win one of the next 2 arcs. And in all honesty, if 466S wins the second arc, decide to hold it for the rest of the game, make it a 2-arc game, which we're not used to seeing in the Grand Prix, but it has happened in Osiris League. If they force a 2-arc game after winning the second arc, then 732A, in all honesty, would be in trouble.
They would. There's some ifs for both sides here. Definitely some ifs for both sides. Worth noting that on the bottom side, it looks like they have the 732A has a very good attack on the Desert Altar of 466S. So there's a bit of offense from both teams here. You know, 466S has been crisp so far, but 732A has been crisper than expected, I would say. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough to win a match against one of the strongest Chinese teams, but if you're 732A, it is also doable. You have to break even on the sides and win the next mid fight. It's not that bad. At least that's a path that has a road where you can see the finish line.
Both teams have the path to victory. 732A's path right now really depends on the Sky Altar not flipping. The Sky Altar defense is going to be absolutely huge for them. You can start to see the double C's sprinting out from this left side, trying to fill this Sky Altar. There are a lot of blue marches here, so it should be defended. And as you're talking about, the Desert Altar was retaken or taken by 732A. Now the question is, Brian, will 732A be able to hold it for as long as 466S was able to hold 732A's Desert Altar? That's kind of the response that they're looking for, as their opponents had 3 ultis for quite some time. And we're going to continue to look at this point differential. Right now, they are up by about 1.7k. That's 466S. There is an arc in the pocket of 732A, which is worth 3k. So, in all honesty, this second arc is going to be important, I believe, for both teams.
It's going to be huge. It will be really good to see these two teams battle it out in a mid-fight. The total kill point in this match is dead even. These teams are looking very, very even so far. And so it will be interesting to see what these teams do mid. It'd be interesting to see what skills get cast, what skills are on the bar. Because 732A has hard push on their bar, and quite frankly, they did not get a lot of value out of that hard push, it means they have one less mid skill. So they probably don't have Heaven's Grace or Bog Down. Like one of the two, they probably don't have it. If they don't have Bog Down, then what 466S can do is they can cast To the Death plus Heaven's Grace, no Bog Down to counter it. And that's the kind of thing that could be the edge that 466S needs to win the second mid fight. That being said, they don't know what's on the 732A bar. They don't know if 732A is sitting there with Heaven's Grace or if they're sitting there with Bog Down. Let me take a quick look at what 732A has used in the past. They have used Bog Down both weeks. Or sorry, I'm looking at the wrong team. They have used... Actually, they haven't had either one. 732A has not had either of those 4-point skills in any of their matches. Yeah, so I think 466S knows they probably don't have Bog Down. They could potentially use Heaven's Grace plus To the Death for a very good mid combination. That being said, 466S has not had Heaven's Grace on their bar at any point in this tournament either.
It's going to be super interesting to see how the second mid fight goes. In all honesty, with the skill discrepancy that you're talking about, there's maybe it'll be another sneaky tactics play. Maybe it'll be a steal with the master strategies, because they have been trying to go this building game, and you could see in terms of occupation score, they are down by about 1.5k in terms of occupation. So if you're going building game, if your plan is to go building game with hard push, and you're losing in terms of occupation score, you were able to get the first arc, yes, but the second arc, that is going to be the real question. That question will be answered in about 9 minutes, as there is 1 more minute until the arc has to be captured, 8 minutes for the next arc to spawn. Brian, what do you expect to see from these two teams as the second arc commences?
Well, I think that both teams want to have one really strong push here. We're seeing a lot of equilibrium here over the last 3 or 4 minutes. Neither team really able to flip any buildings. Not a lot of action even on the outposts. Not a lot of teams in the enemy's back lines. So I think they want to get a quality push somewhere in one of these lanes, but at the same time, they don't want to give up any of their buildings. I think that 466S has a little bit more room to work with here, actually, because they just have that occupation lead. So they can potentially be aggressive, find one lane to really push in and disrupt the second mid fight. Hasn't really developed yet, though. I mean, the arc just got returned. We have 8 minutes for either team to muster up a good offense. But this is the phase in the match earlier today where we saw a ton of equilibrium, neither team able to really muster an offense. It just looks like it's going to be a little bit tough to flip any of these buildings here in the next 8 minutes.
It is going to be pretty tough, as Brian, the bringer of the future, being 10 seconds a bit ahead of the stream.
Oh, there we go. My bad.
It was captured as predicted. 8 minutes until this arc spawns. I'm going to be curious if either of these teams decide to do an early rotation, or if they're going to continue on this building push. Perhaps 732A go full buildings for this arc to try to get that provisioning that they were to try to get that occupation rather that the hard push provides, and 466S will be the ones that have to walk the tightrope. How many marches are they going to be setting middle? How many marches are they going to be sent to defend the structures? And one thing that they might be in the back of their mind is perhaps a master strategies play from 732A. So even if they have full control middle with that arc, they might still have to hold 30 marches, 40 marches there, just due to the fact that there is potentially some shenanigans that could happen.
Yeah, worth noting that 732A has had master strategy on their bar both weeks. The reason they don't have any of those 4-point combat skills is because they do like to have master strategy on the bar. Also, we're noting, and I don't know what this means, is just the fact that 466S decided to skip that first arc, Plato. It was a little bit surprising just because it didn't seem like it was something they had to do. You wonder if maybe these teams have practiced together a lot, and maybe 466S knows that the mid is not where they have the advantage. I would be surprised to see them skip it again, but then at the same time, if 732A suspects maybe they have an edge mid, it would be very unlikely for them to skip the mid either. At this point, I think we're seeing a big mid fight developing here because neither team is mustering much of an offense on the sides.
Yeah, the offense on the Sky Altar that we've been watching has been thwarted. It looks like the Desert Altar offense as well. Even amount of troops, meaning that the defenders are advantaged. Same thing with the Sky Altar. So I don't expect any of these structures to flip. Perhaps, no, even the Shrine of War looks to be safe. Desert Altar looks to be heavily aggressed upon right now by 466S. A lot of units alongside a rally coming to this Desert Altar. Perhaps trying to get one last flip, one last takeaway from 732A before the mid-fight commences here, as there are 5 minutes 30 seconds until Arc spawns. I still think that this will probably be defended, although there are a lot of red marches and they're actually starting to swarm a little bit early here. Oh man, this is going to be a huge Desert Altar attack, and it's going to be an absolutely game changer if 732A is not able to defend it.
Yep, Scipio rally on this building. Let's see if we can see the secondary here.
Tariq, it's a damage rally.
It's a Tariq, so it's a damage rally. Yep. And it did have good timing. They cleared the field just as this rally was getting to the building.
Oh,
and now they have the full swarm plus a very healthy white health rally on this building.
Going down. This building's going down. And what a huge take from 466S. An absolutely huge take from them. Able to take that Desert Altar when they needed to. Now we could see the Gorgo garrison in there as well. And this is how they've been able to slowly chip away from 732A's arc to the point where it's almost an even game state. Only 800 points differentiating these two teams. So this is going to be a must-win mid-fight for both teams, in my opinion. You do not want to give 3.5k when the game has pretty much been in equilibrium with 732A getting that first arc. In all honesty, I would trust 466S's building game more than 732A's as of this point.
Well, I mean, we're more than halfway through the match, and they lost one arc, and they've only tied it up. The next arc is worth more, so it's a little hard to imagine that they could close the gap again, like close a bigger gap in less time for this next arc. But it's not out of the realm of possibility because they did close the gap and actually have the lead now. They have the lead now in the match before this second arc. It's almost like something that's in the back of 732A's mind.
They brought back provisioners. That they were down by 800. They brought back 2k in provisioners. What does that indicate? For the mid.
They want to go heavy mid.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say is, Brian, I think this indicates that those extra provisioner marches, they're just going to send those middle. I only see maybe 1, 2, 3 provisioners from 466S. The rest of them dropping their plows, picking up the swords and arrows and bows, bring the middle. And this is a huge commitment from 466S. We already see the response from 732A though, taking the Sky Altar, perhaps an inverse of that first arc, where 732A will be the ones trying to take the buildings, and 466S are now the ones that have to walk the tightrope. Brian, what do you think of this map state right now?
You know what? What a chess game. What a chess game high-level arc is, where 732A, you know, they don't like what they say mid. They see that the gatherers have been brought in by their opponents. They have not brought in their own gatherers. and they just don't like these numbers so much that they are, in fact, going to sack the second mid. They're going to give up on the second mid. We can see the rotation near that Shrine of War. Yeah, they're rotating out. But I mean, Plato, it is giving up so much. Like, you don't like the numbers. You don't like the approach. You feel like you have a bit of a disadvantage mid. And so you scrap your whole game plan and try to win an upper bracket semifinal match by massively outscoring your opponent on the sides. It's like an unbelievable chess game, but to me, the team that just brings their queen out faster and plays the standard game and goes mid, it just seems to me like that team has the advantage over and over again in these situations.
We see literally the inverse from these two teams, where 466S was the ones using sneaky tactics for that first arc. Now it's 732A. This is 732A sneaky tactics arc.
And they do have master strategy.
They don't even have the 30 marches for sneaky tactics. Sneaky tactics could stealth 30 marches, Brian, right? I feel I could probably count the amount of marches from 732A on my hands. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 marches here. I don't have 6 fingers per hand, so I was wrong. But they only have 12 marches for this sneaky tactics. You could see Desert Altar now getting swarmed down. So they are getting some structures here. Shrine of Life already taken. This is going to be a huge play from 732A if they're able to delay this arc enough to where they are able to make up the 3.5k differential in structures. And right now, the map is looking super blue. The question is, Brian, how long can they keep this map blue?
Yeah, 732A did not get a lot of value from that sneaky tactics. Like you said, not many marches there, and those marches are not doing anything. Those marches are not doing anything right now. They probably won't be able to do anything once this arc spawns. That being said, 732A is getting value on the rest of the map. They have flipped the bottom side of the map. They continue to hold the Sky Altar and generate points there. The occupation score right now is about a 570-point lead for 732A. If they can keep that map state for 6 minutes, they will compensate for losing this arc.
That's a huge ask, though. Holding opponent structures.
It's a big ask.
For 6 minutes.
But they also have the gathering lead, right? Because
that is true.
The red team brought home some of their gatherers already.
Yeah. 2k worth of gathering in the score already from 466S. So we have to keep that in mind. It actually looks like 732A holding hands. Their sneaky tactics wore off. And these marches just running next to the arc carrier.
What's up, bro?
That was the most bizarre 10 seconds of an arc fight I've ever seen. You see a 466S use sneaky tactics middle as well. I hope they know that if you have the arc, you can't be invisible. But it looks like it won't matter regardless, because the marches from 732A, there's so few marches here. And this is a tightrope that we were talking about, where 466S, they have a lot of troops in middle, maybe 2x, 3x of marches that 732A committed to middle. The marches that are not middle, though, from 732A are at the Desert Altar. They are at the Sky Altar. So that is where they index their marches. That is where they committed their marches. The Desert Altar, though, under heavy duress. And I'm going to be curious how long 732A could hold this. In all honesty, it looks like this is going to fall because there are not enough reinforcements coming to this Desert Altar. So 466S doing the first step, taking back one of their altars. What do you think the next step is for 466S with the arc in hand?
Well, they've got to get back the Sky Altar on the top side. The Sky Altar on the top side is the ace in the hole in this match for 732A. That's the part that 466S did not expect, was that they were going to not hold the Sky Altar for so long and give so many points to their opponents at this Sky Altar. Looks like no... Is there not a garrison? No, there's a garrison in there, but heavy pressure here, and they do finally flip the Sky Altar back.
Yeah.
I guess they got it back pretty quick. I mean, it took a little bit of time, but the marches from the obelisk area did get that Sky Altar back. They still haven't gotten the Shrine of Life back.
Ooh,
well, Plato, I mean, look at the score.
Look at the
Look
marches.
at the score, though. I'm looking at the score, man. I mean, they might ambush the arc, but they might not even need to ambush this arc. It's only a 1,500. It's almost a 1,800 point lead right now. You give them 2,000 points in gatherers, and that makes up for this second arc.
Yeah, it is. again, we have to keep in mind there are 2k provision points from 466S as they brought in the provisioners so that they can fully focus in the second arc fight. It is looking pretty interesting because we know that 732 have been provisioning from the beginning of the game. They only have 500 points submitted, up by 2k now. And you have to keep in mind that taking the structures, the impact is felt 2 minutes until 2 minutes after your opponents take back the structures, because these structures are still not generating points for 466S, which is why the point lead continues to grow for 732A. And now the question is, Brian, what will 466S do with this arc? Do you think they're gonna cap it instantly? Do you think they're gonna force a third arc?
I think they're gonna hold it. I do think they're gonna hold it. It's a tough question. It's a leap of faith for 466S to say we're gonna hold this arc and we're gonna get enough from the building game and enough from our gatherers to win a very close match. It is a leap of faith here, but they have been really good on these sides so far. So I can see why they would just hold the arc and try to win it with a building game going forward.
Yeah, I mean, they did capture the arc, so that they answered the question pretty quick. they captured that arc as soon as it got into their structures. They didn't want to. They didn't want to
take a leap of faith.
They didn't want to gamble it on the outpost. They wanted to make sure that they could capture it in their buildings, which makes sense when you know your opponents have master strategies. Could you imagine if they walked to the outpost and master strategies was casted? That'd be absolutely a huge play. They denied that play by just taking the safe route. But now there's going to be another arc fight 7 minutes 30 seconds into this game. 7 minutes 30 seconds rather. There will definitely be a third arc captured. The real question is, Brian, which team will capture said arc?
Yeah, a few factors here. One, 466S, they want this game in their control. They do not want to take a leap of faith. We've seen that personality from them in the Grand Prix so far. They like to be in control. So they're gonna bet their game on a third arc. Another factor here is that Hard Push was cast about 6 or 7 minutes ago by 732A. I don't think that's going to compromise their mid scoring at all. But again, we have not seen like the full 10-point bar from either team at this point. I do still feel like 466S is sitting on To the Death plus Bog Down. And there's always the possibility that 732A does not have that combo. I mean, 732A either has Master Strategy or they have Bog Down plus To the Death, but they cannot have both. If they have Master Strategy, then they do not have those two very good mid skills.
And with that in mind, Brian, perhaps 732A, do you run it back yet again with that mid play where you go buildings, you flip the structures, believe in the provisioners to take you home? Do you think that they could provision up and take structures to the point where that will be worth the 4k points plus the 1k points are down right now? So about like 4.8 to 5k points differential that the third arc would provide for 66S. I think that's going to be the question in the back of everyone's minds, because with what you're saying, a mid fight for 732A would be playing into 466S's hands right now. Do you think they give them that opportunity to mid fight, or do you think they just go structures yet again?
Well, I think what 732A is doing right now, if you sort of look at the Sky Altar on the top side, they've balled up and they're trying to give themselves the opening to do that side strategy. Because like the reason that worked is because they took that Sky Altar before the second mid fight, and then they held the Sky Altar through the entire mid fight. The only reason that strategy worked and they got enough points was because they held the Sky Altar. So they're trying to get this Sky Altar again and give themselves that opportunity to skip mid. But pretty good defense, pretty good defensive numbers here by 466S.
They're hunkering
even
down.
have the Siege March.
Yeah,
they even got the Siege March here.
They got the turret just attacking the murder ball here. That's how you know this is a defense that 466S wants to hold. They got the Cordoba Gajamada just peppering onto these marches here. Pretty
It even affected the approach, right? Like we saw the
Yeah.
blue team like weaving out of the way of that ranged march instead of like running right at the building. So
yeah, they went a
Gonzalo
little
MVP?
wide. Yeah, they went a little bit wide. Man, if we had these dev server things, I'd be curious to see what would 10 range marches defending a structure look like if a murder ball would crash into that. Anyways, we go back into live here as this defense is absolutely huge from 466S. This is a defense that they were not able to do last time during that last mid fight. Now sending a lot of troops around that sky altar, and now they're pretty comfortable with their structure, saying, hey, they probably know that 732A do not want to fight a mid fight. They want to go and try to flip their altars. Now they're sending a ton of units towards the altars. Will 732A counter that with a mid rotation? It looks like the answer is for now yes. Because
look at the bottom side too. Look at the bottom side at the sky altar. Look at those marches.
Yeah,
like, they're moving mid now.
And the thing is, right, Brian, when you defend your structures, yes, you were able to defend it, but now all of your marches have to take the walk of shame. This is a 40-second walk to your building, and then another maybe 1.5 minute, 2-minute walk to middle. So the marches that we're defending, that desert altar or sky altar rather, yes, they're able to defend it, but will they be able to make it to mid on time? The answer is probably no. So now 732A, even though they do not have the skills, or they potentially do not have the skills, they do have the numbers, and there's only 2 minutes 40 seconds until this arc spawns. This might be a mid fight that 732A can win despite the skills. You know what I predict, Brian? I predict for them to create some space. I predict a master strategies as soon as they have the arc carrier in hand. And they're probably going to try to teleport this arc out, because if this arc fight is prolonged and extended, then it will be to the favor of 466S. 466S using to the death early here.
732A tried to poke in. Yeah, they tried to poke in. They got very aggressive there. And 466S cast to the death very early. And now we're seeing 732A run away. They're running away from this to the death. This is very effective from 732A. This to the death just got wasted by 466S.
They lost maybe 2-3 marches, but that's 6 points of skills.
That's nothing. Yeah, that's nothing.
And now you didn't even pop a skill yourself. You popped Dust Up, yes, but you're gonna pop out Dust Up anyways. And now this to the death, I mean, it did create space, so they were able to route 732A. But now 732A, this is a split murder ball here. This bottom side looks like it's going to get sad phase. This top side, though, looks pretty even. Dust Up used by 466S. This is so interesting.
Yeah, I think maybe you cast to the death now, right? Don't you cast to the death now if you're blue? I mean, they've got the top side fight handled probably. So 466S is creating space. They don't want to have everything fighting at once. They don't want all fights to happen at once, because then that makes to the death very effective. But I think if you're the blue team, you just have to cast to the death pretty soon here to get value for it. And now the fight's kicking off in earnest as well.
Master strategies, reinforcements coming in. Looks like it's coming in from the bottom lane here. Master strategies coming in the back here to sandwich 466S's murder ball. That's why they didn't use to the death. They're waiting for the reinforcement skill. Master strategies, 25 seconds left in this arc. 466S are outnumbered with that master strategy skill. Will they be able to prolong this fight though? They need to prolong this fight for as long as possible so that those outer lane units that were taking and defending their sky altar could start coming in. This is absolutely a bloodbath from both teams.
Very chaotic mid-fight. Very hard for teams to focus all on the same thing. Everyone's just attacking the marches that they're close to.
Arc is
and
spawned.
here is the pull on this arc.
It's 466S in the top side. Double C sprinting away with the arc. Sad Faces trailing. A waterfall of sad faces from the blue side here. The arc is on the red side of the map here of Osiris. And as I was talking about, the more extended this fight is, the better it is for 466S, because they could start to get those reinforcements in. You could see the reinforcements continuing to trickle, and they are going to be coming first. There are some reinforcements from the top side from 732A. Will it be enough? The arc is still on the ground in the middle here. This is an absolute bloodbath from both teams. But in reality, 466S, they have maybe a 5-second, 10-second advantage in terms of refreshes with where the arc is. But 732A now carrying the arc, bringing it closer and closer to the middle here. And now it'll come down to who will reinforce first.
Yeah, the pull ends up being not a huge factor here. This is one of those mid fights where it's whoever wins this fight is going to be the team that wins. Sneaky Tactics does get cast by 732A. They got to 3 points before 466S got to 4. 466S wants to get to 4 points and cast one of those skills they have on their bar. But for now, 732A does have the combat advantage with that Sneaky Tactics cast. They have cast more skills mid. I mean, when you take out that to the death that did nothing, 732A has cast more skills mid and gotten more value from their mid skills. But this arc is still up for grabs at this point, and the score is dead even tied.
Yeah, this is a must-win arc from both teams. There are a lot more red marches, as we were talking about. The extended fight, I bet you these marches were in that to the death, sad-faced, came back, and this mid-fight is still happening. That's how long this mid-fight has been going on. The arc spawned at about 8 minutes. The initial fighting started at around 10 minutes. It's been about 3-4 minutes of a bloodbath right now. You can see Sneaky Tactics marches still sad facing the arc carriers. They're still trying to deny this arc for as long as possible. In the meanwhile, if we look at the rest of the map, they're taking buildings. They took the Sky Altar. They took back their own Sky Altar. They're trying to take the Desert Altar. Perhaps they're saying, as long as we deny this arc for as long as possible, perhaps try to take some of these buildings, our provisioners could send us home. Provisioners, only 1.4k provisions so far that have been submitted. And now the question is, how can 732A come back in this match as the arc looks to be in 466S's control?
466S ultimately won that mid fight. They brought more marches back to mid. They just had a more singular focus on getting back to mid, capturing this third arc. A blunder early on made it very difficult for them with that to the death. But, it has to be said that master strategy did not necessarily get a ton of value either. They brought maybe like 10 marches. Is that what you saw, Plato, there? About 10 marches on that master strategy. And ultimately, in a war of attrition, it was 466S who got this arc. And where are they going to return this thing? The outpost is looking pretty safe, actually.
Outpost looks like it is the place to be. They want to capture this arc for as long as possible. They want to capture this arc as fast as possible, rather. Take it out of their hands, take it out of the map, get the points in the bank so that they could send these marches back out, because the Desert Altar was taken. The Sky Altar looks like the YSS primary garrison, very interesting choice, will be taken down. So they are taking back the structures, which is exactly what they need to do. They are up by about 3.5k. The question is now, will 732A be able to make that back from structures as well as provisions?
It's going to be close. I would say that 466S has the advantage right now. It looks like about a 300 point per minute lead for the blue team. At 5 minutes, that's 1,500 points. If you give them 1,500 points there, they need to make up another like 1,800 in gathering.
That's going to be tough, because 466S have been provisioning as well. It's not a complete provisioning win from 732A. 466S have been provisioning, trying to counter those provisions.
732A needs to hold. They need to hold buildings like this advanced Desert Altar here. Yeah, it's part of their win condition at this point, is holding a building like this in a spot like this.
This is an absolutely huge hold.
It's close. Yeah.
It is. If
They swarmed down the rally. They swarmed down the rally first instead of clearing the field. But the rally does go down.
They need these reinforcements to come in ASAP. They got 1, 2, 3, 4 marches coming in. They got the backup garrison coming in. Will it be able to come in time? 20 seconds. This is going to be the longest 20 seconds that this Gorgo has walked in its life. It's so imperative that they get these reinforcements in. This Heraclius YSS holding on for dear life. We see some reinforcements coming in from the bottom side as well. Hard push used, so they're going to try to flip as many structures as possible. I would not be surprised if we start to see some obelisks be flipped, some outposts be flipped, just trying to deny as many points as possible from either team here. But this Desert Altar defense looking very, very solid as of now.
The Sky Altar on the top side as well, under heavy pressure. Blue team pressuring the Sky Altar on the top side very effectively here.
That hard
just
push
a full
skill.
Swarm. Yeah,
they're just swarming this down. I don't even think there's a rally on this. The rally's still
no
coming
rally
in.
on it. So the hard push is not going to help their team until this rally reaches the building, which actually
The building
the rally's
flipped.
just going to get canceled. Yeah,
The building flipped with red marches around, with 466S marches around. That is absolutely a big blunder. I don't think that structure should have fell until, at least until the rally hits. But that
well, do they have a garrison though?
the
Do they have a
garrison is
here?
so
I mean,
slow because the rally
XY,
didn't hit. The rally didn't hit, so that
Caesar. There's the Hera.
the Heraclius just
Oh.
slowly walking up. Will they be able to get in here? That was the slowest Heraclius I think I've seen in my life. Heraclius was able to get in there, but I believe that even though the structure was flipped super fast, they did their job. They flipped the structure. They took
look
away
at the
300
occupation
points.
score. Look at the occupation score right now. There's a huge difference in points per minute in occupation. 600 points per minute. That's 1,200 points if they can keep this thing for the final 2 minutes. That
Desert
makes this
Altar
game
will flip,
very
though.
close.
Desert Altar will flip. But these altars are now not going to generate points for 4-6 success for the rest of the game. That's one thing we have to keep in mind. This is going to be probably the points per minute until the end here. And you could see the score continuing to creep up.
Gatherers are starting to come in now. Gatherers are starting to come in. Both teams gathering score increasing for sure. You start to wonder if everybody's going to get in time. They're going to have to cut this close because this match is extremely close right now. Raiders in the backfield hitting some of these gatherers. Gatherers being sent out again now with a minute left. A Centurion. I mean, this is as close as it gets here in the upper bracket semifinals.
Who do you think's going to win? Put it in the chat. 732A or the tournament favorites 466S. If 466S make it down to the lower bracket, that lower bracket is going to be crazy. But 732A showing that even if they go down to the lower bracket, they should be favorites to come out of that as well. Man, this game is coming down to the wire. But look, 732A already have the lead.
Yeah, they brought a lot of gatherers back in. We're about to see a big boost for 466S. The question is, will it be enough to take the lead? They have a bunch of gatherers that are about to walk into their cities.
Let's take a look
Looks
at the
like
scores
a few
here.
gatherers still out here. A few gatherers still out here.
Oh my goodness. The score is so close. It will come down to provisionings yet again. Who's going to farm more? We're seeing these Joan of Arcs start to come in here. Look at the point differential. It's only 400 points. 15 seconds left. Are there any gatherers still out there? Some gatherers.
There's a couple.
Still coming in from 732A. 732A with a 1k point advantage. And they were able to provision their way back into this game. Able to provision that third arc loss. That second arc loss. But their provisions making up for that arc score. The provisions and occupations proving to be enough. 7,500 points from the two arcs. Pretty much negated by the provisions of 732A and occupations. Proving to be their victory. GG's to both teams. 38,000 points. 38.5 thousand points for 732A. 37.6 thousand for 466S. And the favorites from the Chinese server, 466S, fall down to the lower brackets. Brian, what do you think of this match?
Great match. Long live Sobek. the team from Sobek upsetting one of the decorated, long-standing, two-time back-to-back Osiris League champions in this match. I think everyone was a bit surprised at how well 732A played. They played with a lot of confidence. They sacked that second arc. They master strategy, marches to the third arc rather than using to the death. Played with a lot of confidence, some unique style from 732A, and it was enough to pull not just a big upset, but just a great victory here.
A great victory indeed. And if you enjoyed this Osiris League Grand Prix content, be sure to subscribe to this channel, the official Rise of Kingdoms channel, as next week we will be having 732A versus GY16 in a best of 3. Eventually, I think we are going to be going down to the lower bracket for sure, where we're going to be seeing 489 versus 93T. Absolutely banger matchups. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you like the commentary, our channels are in the description as well. Brian Ka and Plato Gaming, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.